Have everybody stand, please, and we're going to have, I think, Spencer lead us in the pledge right when he's done chewing.
I was doing that and I was chewing. So. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to go table to table. Start from the right for the guests, no guests. And we've got our visiting Rotarian.
Linda Taylor from Lincoln City.
None for you, Freddie, right? We're not gonna.
No guests here.
Yeah, Tanya's mom's not related. Yes.
Tanya, an honorary member.
And none there. And at this table, I've got Paul and David with the Solid Waste District, and Commissioner Miller's also here today. So welcome, guys. This is a presentation. Guys just sitting in the corner. So thank you, everybody, for being here today, and good afternoon. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to our regular April 9th meeting, and it's great to see everyone. Special thanks to our greeters, Stephanie and Spencer, to our cleanup crew, and Tanya and Mom for organizing the meal service again. Thank you so much. And John for our IT support. It's great to see everyone and extend a warm greeting to our guests. I was waiting a little bit to see if our students were coming, but I think we waited long enough, so they're probably busy today. But I wanted to remind everybody that Rotary International's focus for April is the environment. And so we're excited today to have Paul Seitz with the Lincoln County Solid Waste District for our lunch presentation. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Paul. So please welcome Paul Seitz.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have been here once before to chat about the RV program that we had about 3 years ago. Take you a little back in time. Sorry to say the word pandemic era. The county had a secondary crisis that happened during the pandemic, and that was, I think, half of the country put themselves in the RVs and drove to the coast, and then they all left their RVs here. It kind of sounds flippant, but in one sense, it really truly became a crisis for our community. We had, I don't know if any of you were driving up and down the roads, but if there was a turnout, there was an RV, and most of them were occupied for a while. But after a while, it became, there were turnouts with RVs, and there were new RVs coming in from other places that weren't from our area being dumped here. We had RVs everywhere. We still have quite a few RVs in our community. But what I wanted to share with you today is our County Board of Commissioners authorized the district $500,000, because what was happening with all these RVs is they were sitting on the sides of roads. You have road districts who have now the choice between, do I pave my road or do I remove the RV? Because each one of these RVs at the time was seen as about a $10,000 bill. We were looking at quite a crisis to everyone's budget. And as you know, this community budget is terribly important to your local government. All of them are struggling still with RVs and the cost of RVs. And what I'm going to be chatting about is the end of this program, kind of where it's going to go. But I want to start back with the picture. And over the last 3 years, and by the way, I want to introduce my co-worker here. This is David Crawford. He's the person I sent out in the field to go deal with all these beautiful, lovely rigs that we have to clean up. So on the map, let's go with the map. And so what I want to share is over the last 3 years, as we spent the better part of $750,000 in the community, we've cleaned up about 100 RVs. Now, each one of those docks is not an RV, but a cleanup site. So it's really easy for me to say it was everywhere in our community. It wasn't like, oh gosh, Newport is getting all the attention from this program or anything else. If you look at this map, you will see that from north to south, east to west, although not as much on the east, but then again, there's not nearly as much opportunity out there to dump the same way as you can in these areas. We have been out there and cleaned up RVs, and with the different colored dots, just so you, I'm not asking you to try and read this or see the details. And if you want to see a report, I will leave this with Sir Brian. And this is a draft report, which will be going to our Board of County Commissioners very soon to talk about this. You're getting this ahead of the board, so don't let Casey listen to this. The different colored dots are the different people impacted. So we had private property RV cleanups. Let me just see what those are. The blue ones. U.S. Forest Service RVs are the green ones. We had a forest enforcement program, which are the pink ones. And then cities are the red ones, and all the yellow are county programs. So when I talked about the board authorized me to spend $500,000, they came, I basically went to them, I said, we have this crisis. There's no one, everyone's scrambling for money. And I have this wonderful opportunity, one-time money. There was a cleanup project out in Toledo that a little itty-bitty company in Toledo, I had to clean up huge amounts of stuff. And I had a rather large pile of money from $4 a ton that they spent cleaning up their little problem. That led to me being able to fund this program. So trying to give you the full kind of picture here. And I know Rotary is very into money, which is why I focused on it. You go, no, keep going to the gory stuff, Paul. I want to see the gross pictures. We're going to get to those. So what the money was supposed to be spent for was on the roads, parks, and city limits, because my program, the $4 a ton is paid to the county, yes, but it's for within city limits as well. So we have spent this money across the entire spectrum of that. What we quickly learned was how to do, RVs are complicated. They come with motor oils, pool oils. Sorry to say that during lunch. I should not have said that. Gray waters, brown waters, they are disgusting on the inside, most of them. They have molds. They are incredible behemoths of garbage that people add to. If you leave them on the side of the road, they add a lot more garbage. And they also come along and steal things off of it, like wheels, tires, things that you need to tow them with. That money was supposed to be spent, and we figured out kind of a process with our local hauler. So 3 things came together really nicely. Our commissioners authorized the expenditure of the money. Our local hauler stepped up and said, we can figure out how to do this, because we had to put a lot of pieces together to how to actually remove an RV. And the third one, I forgot it somewhere in this report. I should probably quickly glance. The commitment of the sheriff's office to kind of lead the program, because we need to tag these there's, like I say, many processes, from DMV forms to removing of these weird waters to getting them off the site to properly getting the ownership taken care of. So that all came together, and we actually had a program, and we were, I think, one of the first, and maybe still be one of the only places in the state that have an organized program. And it was because of this original funding we were able to put it together. A lot of people looked at this, and U.S. Forest Service came to us and said, hey, have you guys seen all these RVs in our land? We'd like to get those cleaned. So they pumped in about a $250,000 additional pot of money. They'd like to give us another $100,000 to go clean up their lands, which is how I get from $500,000 to $750,000 spent so far. So the U.S. Forest Service said, we will reimburse the county if you'll help us get these off our land. So that's where we're spending some money out on U.S. Forest Service areas. So let's go to some pictures. Let's see some gore here. No, it's not. What I've done, these are not in any particular order, other than I have private property cleanups, public road cleanups. And we're just going to sort of flip through. If ever you see a picture you want to ask about, raise your hand, ask questions. But we'll just sort of flip through. So this is my public road section. This is what the initial intent of the board dollars were given to me for. let's go to parks, let's clean up roads, let's make sure that we don't have these. And you can just literally start flipping through. Some of them are in city limits here. Some of them are going to be county roads, and you just sort of flip, continue on whatever pace you would like. Many of the pictures that you'll see here were taken like an impound yard in the clean state that they are. We also took those, by the way. I just want to mention that. Most of them, I'm waiting for a picture to pop up when I go. Most of them look like this, because these are usually the pictures of the impound yard that we have. We're going to show you some sites where. A quick comment. I'll be right with you. A quick comment on the burned RV. What happens if you leave them in the right of way or in a park? People come along and set them on fire. The other problem we have is people get in disputes in this is called non-residential camping community, non-recreational camping community, excuse me, where they get in disputes. They set each other's RVs on fire. It's a thing, and so we have quite a few RVs. You see several burned ones here. Yes, sir.
So what's the process? Like, did you track down the original owners? Because they're registered with the DMV, right?
Well, that's a fascinating component. When you come to, I'm not going to call it the blame statement, but ultimately that's what it's going to be kind of viewed as. When you look at the causes, where did these RVs come from? Was it just recreational people dumping them? Was it homeless people dumping them? It comes from a wide variety. I'll name 4 causes, and I'm going to get to your, I know I tend to answer things long, which is why I had to ask them how long I had. Anyways, the 4 real things. So homeless, of course, there are people who have homeless. People who just simply, the RV breaks down, they go, I'm done with this, they just leave it. There are the mules. In other words, a person intends to haul drugs with them. They take it out in the woods, they cut them open, they take the drugs out, they leave the carcass. And then we have the chop shops, the people who go to the city of along the I-5 corridor and say, for $2,000, I'll get rid of the RV. And they go, oh, good, everyone else has been telling $10,000. And they drive it out here, and they dump it on our road, or they burn it on someone's property. So there has been quite a bit of sources of that. And at the heart, and where I put the blame statement, a number of factors have come together. And during the pandemic, one, there was kind of a relaxation of law enforcement on registration of vehicles. There was a lot of law enforcement relaxation of things. DMV, I have found out, has not tracked or recorded, when you sell your RV, they don't chase after it. So a lot of them have been put into the system, and there's been a pile put someplace at the DMV, but not a database, not a resource that the sheriff can go, oh, this RV here. And it turned out once that one of the RVs, the tag on the RV came back to a former judge in the county. He said, oh, I sold that like 12 years ago, and it had changed hands, and and so DMV never tracked beyond the original sale those kind of transactions. So the answer is law enforcement's hands are tied because they don't know whose property this is. So we've gone after, and I'm going to get to cameras in a minute. What we've gone after is the people who tow, drive, bring the RV in. Those are the people who Bruce McGuire, who's our deputy, forest deputy, he goes after and has conversations with. There have not been a lot of prosecutions. It's almost impossible, which adds to the putting a big chunk of money into this and cleaning up they would still be sitting on the side of the roads until everyone found money to go do so. I also want to do a thank you. And by the way, if we moved on past the city we got to the end of this first list and ready the second list.
We can make that happen.
Yeah, that's cool. If you want to just spin through, this getting older thing. I know I was going someplace. City of Newport. I just want to say thank you, City of Newport. The other thing that's happening with RVs And this is a little, let's say 50% more related to what I'm gonna call homeless or non-recreational campers. We will chase someone off the force. They go to private property. That person chases them off. They wind up in the city of Newport. City of Newport has been our capture place. I thank you, code enforcement from City of Newport. They have been doing a fantastic job. And they have an impound yard over here, of which poor David had to go clean up 30, 25, something like that. There were a massive amount of RVs that they had to clean up at their own expense. I couldn't cover all of those costs. I only offer the cities 1 or 2 a year in freebie RVs. And so they have been champions in removing RVs as they come into the city. That has been a problem. So what we moved now is to private property. This is me pushing my program limits. So the board said, yeah, Paul, protect our public funds. But as you go onto these private properties, and this is, by the way, not this, this is related to the chop shop stuff. We went to a property and there was 16 RVs. This lady on Siletz Road had a husband who died, whose son, not directly related to her, was bringing RVs from the valley, charging people and burning them on her property to get the metal. So he was putting $2,000 in one pocket and get the $150 for the metal in the other, and she gets a mound of burned fiberglass and other materials on her property. And it occurred to me that we can't, she, one, was a victim, had no money to clean this up. She has 20 RVs sitting on her property. Bruce is chasing this other guy out of the county because he has an arrest warrant for abandoning RVs in the county. What do you do with this person? So we went in and we cleaned up those properties. Private property cleanups are the most expensive of all the property cleanups we did. It usually required, because the state of the RVs are in such bad condition, David's coordinating with the excavator group that comes in with big machines, crushes them up, puts them in drop boxes. I haven't mentioned asbestos testing in all this because asbestos is a factor that we have, and 1 in 3, it's been pretty good odds. We've actually beat the odds. I was figuring 50-50 for asbestos, but we've not had near as many. But asbestos basically exponentially increases the costs. We have to, let's just say it was the window trim that has asbestos. We have to hire a specific company. They come out, they specifically cut out those windows. They have to package them, we call it burrito wrapping, and take it directly to the landfill. They have to observe. They cannot let that out of their site, the company that does that, just due to rules and regulations for garbage. It's a very expensive endeavor when you find asbestos. So each one of these RVs you're seeing has to go through the asbestos test, all these draining effluents, all these different things. And not all of them are nice. So private properties have been our most expensive. We've helped out cities, private properties. We've done country private properties, but there's basically a moratorium now from us on those, not because of lack of will, but it would be more money. I have one-time money. I'm not going to be able to sustain this. So we had to shut that program down. So it kind of came to an end. And then let's show some U.S. Forest Service property photos. And with the U.S. Forest Service, it's kind of funny. They came to us and asked us for assistance and then had us sign an agreement where we have to match the money. And the federal government's fascinating to work with if you've never worked in federal grants or other programs. It is a convoluted and difficult, but it is well worth it for us because so many of the problems that we have here in our community here is living or festering up there in the woods. And this is where I come into play here with a forest deputy. I work with Bruce. I actually bring in the funds from the timber companies and help supplement that with solid waste dollars so that illegal dumping is handled out in the forest areas, not U.S. Forest necessarily, but in the timber company areas. And U.S. Forest Service wanted a piece of this assistance. So we started going out there, and as you see, these are more on-site kind of photos. This is what David goes out and sees and cleans up. When David leaves, I'm happy to say it looks like the forest again. It's really kind of nice. When we're standing there on the side of the road, this one lady rolls down her window. She drove up in a camper and she says, I used to live here. What has happened? And she's driving past this kind of material all along the side of the road. And I said, we're starting to clean it up. We're doing our best. And we've made incredible headway with U.S. Forest Service. They have some work to do on staying with their, they have if you think the sheriff is spread thin, they have one person that goes from Tillamook County to Coos County that does all their law enforcement for the U.S. Forest Service. So he's spread very nice guy. Wonder if you ever need to get arrested by someone, Alan Young, man. I'm gonna give him 2 thumbs up. Really a wonderful gentleman to work with. Sorry, I just have to tell the story. We observed on our cameras. So U.S. Forest Service asked us to put up cameras at our expense to help protect their land. I thought that was fascinating. But given that Bruce is out there, and excuse me, Deputy McGuire, if I'm referring to you as Bruce, he's just, again, these are real people in our community, and Bruce is well known in the community. If you didn't know him, you soon will if you go do anything in the forest or read anything in the forest about on Facebook. The problems that his timber companies are having are the same problems and the same people that are doing this. If they're not going to be dumping on this land, they're going to dump on the land next door. We have hundreds of miles of road. And so we put up these cameras. So I'm just going to share a quick story with Alan Young yesterday, the LEO. This gentleman drives by with a pickup truck with stake beds on the side. It was like, okay, this is like a gardening company. It has mountains of sticks and stuff on the back. But as he drives by the camera, he's dragging a tarp behind the pickup truck down the gravel road, loaded up with an equal sized mound of yard debris. And I get this call yesterday from the LEO saying, I found the tarp. It's in front of the guy's house still. So he drove up, dumped all this stuff. And so the LEO, fortunately, these are license plate cameras. I brought this as a prop just to remind me to talk about it. So we've posted these and we have signs all over. So we're not just doing the cleanup with this program. We're trying to encourage that community who would think that this is acceptable, that it is perhaps something they're going to get caught at. And we have signs, about 10 times as many signs as we have cameras up. And David runs my cameras for me. He goes out and keeps them powered. And these read license plates. They can see at night. They can see during the day. And we are catching quite a few people out there in our woods, but we have way more. Anyways. So I'm going to kind of wrap up this and then I'll take questions and maybe talk about a little bit of the future. But I don't know how far down on all these that we got, but I think you get kind of the idea of what it looks like. Unfortunately, this is not smell-o-vision and we can't provide you now, but yeah, perfectly fine. We don't want to ruin much. Questions, thoughts, suggestions, and then I'll kind of go through.
So the cleanup of private property, what?
Oh, wait a minute.
Yep. So the cleanup on the private property, what instigates that? Is it the property owner who calls or somebody reports them?
Well stated. So I don't do response to those kinds of complaints. In fact, what's really interesting about the solid waste district, I have no codes. I am a district to serve both the city and the county, and I'm kind of a advisor, if you will, to all of those. So law enforcement has been involved one way or another on a private property issue. And law enforcement has decided when we were on this property, there is no path forward for that property. And, if we had, I'm sorry, Bill Gates, I'm just gonna pick on you. If we had Bill Gates property and he goes out, I don't want to clean it up. I don't think law enforcement would have called me on that property because he is a person who has the means to clean up his own private property. But when there are situations when someone's dumped upon someone who has zero means to do that cleanup, has no ability of getting that material off, that's when law enforcement contacts me for that emergency out. Because if you leave it there, it only encourages more. That's Another question.
I'm just wondering, from people who clean it up, what do they wear when they clean it up? And then when they're done with it, do they have to dispose of it because it's.
So, and David, if you want to jump up here anytime, you're welcome to. We'll give you a microphone. So we've learned a couple lessons with cleanups. So when we've gone into a few camps where the US Forest Service said, this is a garbage dump. And it wasn't a garbage dump so much as a camp, but well, there's not a lot of difference. And that one had, well, we've done a couple, well, one of them had 2,000 needles. And so we hired a company for that at great expense that came from Salem. They came in their Tyvek suits and they ran around with David and they did the, let's just say, more medical waste concerns. The county did do a cleanup, the county at the county's cost, not under this program, of a building that had hazardous waste in it. We hired a hazardous waste company to come in. Poor David, I sent him on that one too. And they came in their suits and they cleaned up. Most of this is done by an excavator. And so what's nice is we don't have to suit David up in order to put him in the field. He has a pronged thing and he doesn't grab bags. We don't touch things that way. But we can do most of the cleanups ourselves with the tools that any person could deal with, and we're not into danger zones there. But it's a big concern because what do you do when you have this on your property? How do you do that? But we've only identified a couple that were really bad. I think there was one RV that stank so bad. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Just as a suggestion to everybody, whenever you sell a vehicle to anybody, pull the plates off of it. That forces the new owner to put license plates on it. Hopefully they're re-registering it, but it gets your name off of those license plates. You may still be registered with the VIN number, but at least there's some other license plates on there that will point the law enforcement to somebody else.
A question from online. If the vehicle has an out-of-state license plate, can that other state help with the cleanup effort?
That would sure be nice. At this point, they're welcome to send cash. That'll be fine. It really comes down to, and even in the state, there's no federal dollars, no state dollars. No one has funding for garbage for these cleanups. And that is one reason why you have them stay as long as they are, because it's very difficult and it's fairly expensive. I mean, $750,000 is not chump change. And I don't know if I said it, about 100 RVs, about 40 boats and other trailer things that kind of come with it is what that bought. And all the garbage.
You think this is a one-off from COVID, or is it something that the parents are going to continue to do?
Thank you. Go ahead, repeat your thing so that everyone hears.
Do you think this is one-off due to COVID, or is this something that's going to be a continual problem for the county?
There's two prongs to that answer. COVID was the exception, not the rule. It was the thick part of the bell curve that really had to weather. This will continue on. And so I'm going to stand on a soapbox here for just a minute. I'll be careful here because I'm practicing for when I go before the Board of Commissioners to try and convince them of future and how we want to do it. But actually what I'm trying to implement in the community is intolerance to dumping in the forests. And I think the short answer for you is it was a one-off from COVID. I don't think you will see an influx that large again. With that said, our efforts with putting signs, and I also have sent off, so anyone who towed or did other things such as, if you advertise junk removal, I sent you a letter that says, hi, we're in a 5-year program. Please know that we're out in the forest taking your picture. That, we've done a lot, and that has curbed a lot of those behaviors. I have not seen a drug cut open one for a long, that's my suspicion, not the sheriff telling me. I've not seen one of those in almost a year now. So my guess is sending off letters to tow companies and other things has caused a little bit of a chill. And the ultimate answer is, unless the community says this is not allowed, we don't want to drive down the highway and see this on your private property, our public property, in our parks. And we're going to fund with dollars our own attitudes and make that a priority in our community. That's where the power lies, and how, whether or not you have it in the future.
So how can we help? If we see an RV, what do we do?
Rather than an RV, why don't we stop at illegal dumping, or just generally anything to do with mountains of trash? The short answer is, I would report that to local code enforcement, law enforcement, however you would like to do so. You're welcome to call me and ask for advice. I'm going down to Bayshore just right after this to help them walk through a camp and see what they want to do this cleanup. And I'm not funding anything with them, but we're glad to help. I have a David I can send out to go, yeah, I know what that looks like. I know how to clean that up. And so we're more than happy to help with that. I think vigilance, looking at it, and turning in is not quite right, but making it, I'm not finding this an acceptable thing. Who do I talk to is the right path. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Paul. Paul, one of the things that Rotary focuses on is working to eradicate polio in the world. For more than 35 years, our members have contributed more than $2 billion to protect nearly 3 billion children against polio. And so, in thanks for your presenting today, David, we're going to vaccinate 50 kids in your name.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome.
And so I've worked with Paul on a lot of these things, so I wanted to comment on a couple things as well, because he's talking pretty fast about stuff. But the $4 a ton that he mentioned, I don't know if anybody understands what he meant by that, but that's part of why we have franchise agreements, and why illegal dumping and dumping from or people who come in and say they're going to haul stuff for you somewhere else is in violation of the franchise agreement. Because part of what we're paying Thompson's, Dahl, North Lincoln, is part of what we are paying when we pay our trash bill. That part of that money they have to pay to the county or the franchise to be able to run the business. That's how the county is set up. And so some of the money that you put towards that, you may say, oh, my rates are going up, this or that, but it does go to a lot of programs that would not get funded otherwise. Paul has done a great job with getting other partners involved, because as all of us knows, everything here is a watershed on this side of the coastal range. So whether it's up in U.S. forest property, private timber company, anything, it ends up in our ocean. So no matter where it's dumped, it is flowing downstream. It has no choice. We're that close to the ocean, it gets there. It's pretty much that way everywhere in Oregon, sooner or later. But for us, it happens a whole lot faster. So getting them involved, getting them to, because they didn't want these vehicles and all everywhere either. Getting them to put dollars, bringing some of our federal tax dollars, basically, because we pay federal taxes, to bringing some of it back to our community to address this issue is really important. If you're asking about if it's ever going to end, Dustin, no, I would say it's not. One of the things, that's again how we kind of address it. We realize we can't stop it, but letting them know that there's consequences that we're watching. And I'm not saying that fixes the problem. I mean, this may seem just kind of selfish, but it oftentimes pushes the problem somewhere else, which isn't a fix. I understand that. But when you have, adjoining states to us who don't have environmental regulations like we do, like it may cost $10,000 to get rid of an RV in Oregon. It may be 1,500 in Idaho. You may be able to dump and burn it on your property in Idaho. So, I'm not saying that's a good thing, but one of the ways that I brought it up to the legislature to think about it was, we have to pay a deposit when you buy a car battery. Why isn't there a deposit on RVs? Because we don't know where they end up, and we know there's a cost at the end. We know at the end of life, somebody is buying this thing for $500 or $1,000 because the owner does not want to pay $10,000 to dispose of it, get it off their property. So they're selling it. Yeah, sure, you can have it for $500. And that guy's thinking, maybe I can get $150 out of the metal or whatever, or I can live in it for 6 months, even though it's falling apart. But I can get 6 months of basically rent for $500, and then they're just going to get rid of it. If we had a deposit on it, and I'm not saying the $10,000, because it doesn't become garbage for 20 years. We had a $5,000 deposit on a $100,000 PW. I guarantee all these things that look like crap on those pictures, they didn't look like that when they were bought. But if you had a $5,000 on it, and you figured in 20 years, that $5,000 is going to be worth at least $10,000. And again, I understand that the cost of cleaning up is going to go up in 20 years too, but at least addresses it in some way. But there hasn't been any support for a deposit system. And I mean, the businesses that run those, that sell RVs, everything, of course, they don't want to up their costs. But
It did make it onto a bill, didn't it, right?
I think it made it onto a bill, but I don't think it had any traction.
Died.
And that's the problem, is that the voices against things like that are louder. Because
And better funding.
that's what I mean by louder. Anymore, its funding is volume. So those issues with the costs, and the things that we're looking at doing, again, really thank you to Paul and your team, and it is the cities too. Like Paul said, he's accurate. Like when we were looking at this, I was the one who was looking around, asking other counties. Yeah, we're it. So we were kind of starting all this from scratch. When the cities then, when they saw what we were doing, they were like, hey, we've got these problems inside the city limits. It's not our fault. They're parking it alongside the road in the city. Can you help with us? And Paul set up a program with we did memorandums of understanding with each of the cities. And I think at first it was 2 RVs that we would remove. But again, that money goes away. So it is tough to fund. They are expensive to get rid of. But they do become public health issues if they're not already. It's not just all the waste that's sometimes stuffed into them when they get left. It's sometimes animals living in them are dying or whatever. So again, it is a big issue, and I'm glad that we are addressing it as best we can and continue to. But it's not something that is going to go away, I don't think, unless there's something that the funding comes again. I think at the beginning of the stream, because you can't force. Like I said, there's just this incentive at the end of life to find someone who will take it, or say, give it to them, or allow somebody to live in it, or whatever. There is this incentive for the person who has it and knows it has a negative net value to get rid of it. And there's not a whole lot we can do about that at this point.
Brian, can I make one
Yeah.
quick comment? And you can repeat it if you want, but the DMV question you have is spot on. I personally think rather than chasing after a legislative thing with money, having the DMV just simply belly up and make sure everyone is registered, and have law enforcement say, oh, you have an unregistered, and write tickets. I think that will get huge.
It could, but that problem doesn't address the ones that are already left places. Like they're
Totally.
parked on somebody's place.
Yes.
They're never on the road. The police never see them.
Correct.
And they're falling apart. It is, there's no easy answers. But but rest assured, we are addressing it as best we can. And we're hopeful that we keep getting funding for it as well. With that, though, I do want to make a couple of other announcements really quick. Again, the Dia de los Niños is coming up at the end of this month. If I don't know how the signups were on that, I didn't get to check that today, but I know we were almost full for the Newport Library that we partner with to help hand out books to children and families. The Sister Exchange, Montbet's Sister City Exchange on May 14th. Again, try to be here for that. Because we're going to have a bunch of guests for that, and there's also the different activities that are happening. That's in the newsletter. I put the other dates in the newsletter for the stuff that we're doing with them. The district conference is May 15th to 17th, and I also put in the newsletter for Michelle. Yep. For the Salvation Army Bowling fundraiser from 4 to 6 at Mugley's in Toledo on May 30th. It's also got a silent auction and sponsorship opportunities. Is there anything else you want us to know about it?
Just if you want to register whatever team or do the silent auction basket, just let me know.
So if you've got any silent auction items or want to sign up for sponsorship, just contact Michelle. And I also get to do one of my happy things today because we've known for a little bit that I finally got the badges. So I got 2 blue badges and they're both here today. Noelle and Trevor. If I could have you guys come up. And Trevor, I've been assured that your badge is going to get finalized. It's got a little bit sticky on it right there. Well, you did the full on one, all ready to go. There you go. So congratulations, you guys, and good work. Any other announcements that people want to bring up? Before we do have bucks. Oh yeah.
So on my With my Habitat hat on, please join us for our Home and Garden Show this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Newport Rec Center. We have a lot of silent auction items that are actually available online already. Visit our website, habitatlincoln.org, and you can find the link to start bidding. We also have a lot of raffle items going on and 37 vendors to visit. With my Rotary Lincoln City hat on, we are supporting a shelter at Schooner Creek Park. And to do that, we are selling raffle tickets for baskets of wine, chocolate, and coffee. I know that each of these baskets has at least 6 bottles of nice wine, some chocolates and coffee that go with each one of them. One has 6, one has 9 bottles, one has like a dozen bottles of wine. Tickets are $10 each, and I have them here with me today if anybody's interested. Thank you.
Cinda, is that available on your guys' site too?
That is through Rotary individual members from Lincoln City Rotary. So it's me.
You better identify it. Thanks, Lucinda. Yeah, Dustin.
We officially have our inbound for next year, Geronimo from Argentina. So he will be with Hans Judel Goplin for the first start, and then latter part of the year, we're still looking for a host family. So let me know if you know of anyone that would be interested in hosting. And then we also have Julia and Julia coming in from Italy and Brazil for short-term exchange this summer. So
thanks.
So updates.
We'll look forward to meeting them. And you said it was the Goblins who gave me the first one, right? Make sure you thank them for us and see them. I also wanted to point out that the newsletter, the Home and Garden, there should be flyers on the tables, and our April newsletters on the tables too. So I wanted to see if anybody had any happy bucks or birthdays or anniversaries or anything that they wanted to mention, or any other happy bucks. Oh, hey Mark, I thought you might.
Well, I just want to say I'm very happy to be here, so I'm going to put $25 towards Polio Plus. The reason why I'm happy to be here is because I took an Alaska flight from Seattle to Eugene. And we ended up in Portland. The pilot said that they're having problems with their fire extinguisher system, and there's no problems, but if there was a problem, it'd be a very bad day. So I'm happy to be here.
I'm going to be $25 happy to the Lincoln County Foundation in honor of our grandson, Michael Howard Thorne. He is a Judge Advocate General with the Coast Guard. He found out his next, they call it a billet, but whatever, commission. He is going to the Coast Guard Academy in New London, Connecticut, and going to be teaching there law for 4 years. We're very happy for him.
Congratulations. Any others? Oh,
Well, we have one over here.
So it was my birthday a few days ago, and I'm traveling to Chicago, and I'm happy that we have 2 new blue badges. So I'm going to be $108 happy to my partners.
thank you for your
I think I'm $100 happy. Well, I am $100, but I think I'm happy. I started in Junction City as the interim city manager there. So the second interim job I've done. I really enjoyed the first one. Hopefully I enjoyed the second one as much as I did the first one. So I'll be kind of in and out for the next 5 months or so.
Any others? Well, I will be $50 happy for our 2 new blue badges as well. So congratulations, guys. Congratulations, Trevor and Noel. It's really great to have you as regular members.
I have one more.
Oh.
One more.
Okay. Yeah.
Sitting here, triggered thoughts. So it sounds a little early to talk about summer camp, but to me, it's never too early. I already registered 1 kid for 5 weeks of camp yesterday. So we are looking for sponsors to help pay for the kids to go to camp. I believe that we pay a flat rate for $5,000 to send as many kids as possible through the summer. So if we can get sponsors to pay for that, then I always never charge the family anything, because I don't want there to be any barrier to kids experiencing summer camp, because I love it that much. So if you're interested in sponsoring a kid to go to summer camp, however much you want to give, I know about the rate for 1 kid to go is $450 to $475. If we were paying individually, but total, the Salvation Army in Lincoln County pays $5,000 to send kids to camp in the summer.
Thank you, Michelle. Amy's not here, but I wanted everybody to know, I forgot to mention that at our board meeting on Tuesday, she brought up the fact that we had 14 RILA applications. So, which is far more and great than we've ever had before. So she's in the process of doing those interviews and all. And the board, so we already had, I believe, 6. We usually we have been sponsoring 6. But we agreed to sponsor 9 to try to get closer to the number of interests that we have. Yeah.
Does Connie Gates money pay for that as well, or is it only for exchange students?
We agreed to use the Connie Gates for that. We thought it was an appropriate use of the fund. Because and to up it to 9. But the other money, 6 before that, does not. It did, or at least it didn't specifically come from that, but the added 3 did. Some of that is we use half of our grant money back from the district for RILA, the other half for scholarships for graduates, or NHS graduates, but half of it goes to RILA and the other half comes from our club for the 6. But so we were really excited to have that many. There are years where we don't fill the spots, or we're scrambling to fill them at the end. So, or we're looking from other schools who don't have a Rotary Club or something like that to see if they're so. Amy and the youth services team, they're doing a great job of getting the word out and getting people interested in it. So that's a great program as well. And the summer camps are all really great. So with that, I'll ask Julia for makeup's attendance membership incentive.
Today's membership incentive is for Signe Grimstead, and she is online, so $5 to Signe.
We've got our social media at 50/50.
I do. So let's get this set up here. Share with me here. Our Noelle Kavanaugh needs to go and play the lottery today. She's our social media winner today, $5 or $10. And Megan Shane has donated $100 to Noelle's Paul Harris for becoming a blue badge. And let's see if she can win the 50/50. We had someone purchase $5 more today, so it's worth $77.50 today. So let's get Noelle some more money. Murnada. It's not, it's Murnada, so it's not you. I like that name.
Okay. So congratulations, Mark. Our next regular lunch meeting is next Thursday, April 16th here at noon. Our presentation will be the Loyalty Days Princesses, so try to be here for that. Those are always great speeches. And with that, I will ask Stephanie. Are you Stephanie still there? Yeah, today's out four-way test.
Four-way test. We think today or do one. Number
friendships. Will be beneficial to all concerned.
And last but not least, number 5.
Is it fun?